Alright, welcome back. Now in this tutorial we're going to see text normalization with stemming and lemmatization. So previously we have gotten a theoretical understanding of what stemming is and what lemmatization is. Okay, and here I have a brief summarization of everything, right? That is stemming, and then what stemming does and what lemmatization does. All right, and in this particular notebook we're going to see a demonstration of how we perform stemming and lemmatization on our text. All right, or on our corpus, which is going to be our data set. All right. Now if you see a word like change, right, change can be in a different form, like say changing, changes, changed, changer, right? Now if you perform stemming on this word, right, stemming will turn everything to something like change. Okay, so it's just gonna take off everything over here, right? It's just going to chop off everything from here, right? Something like that. Okay, something like that. And then you're only going to have this part, this part, this part, this part, like that. All right. However, if you use lemmatization is trying to reduce everything to its base form, like this. Okay, reduce everything to its base form, because all these different forms, right, changing, changes, changed, and changer, they're all coming from the word change. Okay, so lemmatization is more accurate. It's more accurate than stemming. Okay, it's more accurate than stemming. All right, so let's actually see how these things are being performed. All right, so we have a text over here, right, which we are going to use. So here we have 3 sentences, right? We have the sentence 1, right, all the way to here, and then the second sentence, right, from here all the way to here, and then the third one, which is from here all the way to here. Okay, all the way to here. So this is our sentence. Okay, our 3 sentences put together to form document. So we can call it a document. And since it's just one document, we can also refer to it as corpus, right? Whether 1 or 2 documents put together, right, or more put together, we can call it corpus, right? So in this case, you can call it document or corpus. All right. So we're going to perform stemming and lemmatization on this sentences that we have. All right. So here, in order to start doing the stemming and also doing the lemmatization, first we need to tokenize it. Okay, we need to perform tokenization, which we saw in our previous tutorial. All right. So first we import NLTK, right, which is the library that we're going to use. And then we use nltk.punct, okay, which is nothing but punctuation kit over there, right? And then we have from nltk.tokenize, we import word tokenize, okay, which is going to help us tokenize all the words that we have over here, right? You can call them vocabularies, all right, or all those individual words that we have, eat, would, all of them, right? You can call them vocabulary, right? Or you can call them words, okay. So once you do that, once you import this, then I can use it to tokenize the sentence that we have. Remember, we have stored everything in sentence. Okay, so now if I print them for you to see, this is how it is. Okay, let me just copy them and then I'll put them here for you to see. Okay, this is how we have chunk all of them. So you can see that it is on its own, wood is on its own, be is on its own, fair is on its own, to is on its own, demand is on its own, that is on its own, right? All the way to even the period or the full stop, right, is on its own over there. Okay, so that's how we tokenize the words. Now the next thing is to remove punctuations. Okay, that is remove any things like apostrophe or things like full stop or something like that, so that we have, okay, things like period or something like that. Okay, so we that's what we're gonna do. And here I'm just creating, I'm downloading this. It's not necessary because we have already downloaded it here, so you can just ignore it. Right, and then I'm creating a function called remove punch, which is nothing but remove punctuation, which is gonna take in a token, right? Remember, token is nothing but a word. Okay, so once it does that, it's going to return word for word in token, right? If word dot is alpha, right? That is, if word is an alphabet, then return it for me. If it's not an alphabet, then do not return it. Meaning that it was going to go through our sentence, and then see each of them. If it is an alphabet, right, then it's going to return it. If it's not an alphabet, it's not going to return it, right? And it's not going to return period because period is not an alphabet. Okay, it's not going to return apostrophe, right? Because apostrophe is not it's not an alphabet. Okay, something like this is just not an alphabet, so it's not going to return it. All right, so once we do that, then this is what we have. So let me even copy that one too, and then I will show you. All right, or maybe I can just show you. If you go all the way here, right, you see that here we're having as I showed you here, we're having this thing over here with apostrophe in there. But if we come here, that comes in between R and paid, right? Let's go and see. Right, if we go to here, you see that R and paid, you see that it's not there, right? It's not there, it has been removed, right? If we go all the way, let's go, see that we have period over here, or full stop, right? It's between schemes and ordinary. Let's go and see. Let's go all the way here. Let's go. You see that schemes and ordinary, that period or that full stop is not there, it has been removed. Okay, and then at the last end there was a full stop over there, right? If we go all the way here, you see that there was a full stop over here, right? But if we come here, it won't be there, right? You see that it's not there, right? It ends at reciprocate, right? So here it ends at let's go here. You see that it ends at reciprocity. Okay, so the full stop is not there, as here after reciprocity we have full stop over there. Okay, so that is what I was doing here, just to remove those punctuations. Now we're coming to see how we do stemming. Okay, so in doing stemming, we have different libraries that we can use. Okay, one is called Porter Stemmer. Okay, one is called Porter Stemmer, and the other one that we can use is called Snowball Stemmer. Okay, so Porter Stemmer or Snowball Stemmer, you can use either of them to achieve it. All right, so here I have from nltk.stem import Porter Stemmer. Okay, import Porter Stemmer, which we are going to use for stemming. All right, then once you do that, you initialize it. Okay, and then you store it in any variable name that you want. In this case, I'm just calling it as PS. All right, so once you do that, you just do ps.stem, right, and then you put in your word. So any word in the and there's a list that we have, right? It's gonna take it, and then for word in sent, that is for any word in sentence. Okay, for any word in sentence that we have, right? Remember, we have stored everything in sent up here when we tokenize. So for any word in that, we want you to perform stemming on it. Okay, so now if we see what we have over here, right? Let me actually copy them, and then I want you to see all of them at one go, right? Okay, now if you compare it with what we were having earlier on, right? So earlier on, this is how we were having it, right? Let me do this one here. Let me copy this ones. Okay, so now let's compare it and see how it is. Right now here, 8 is returning the same thing as 8 after stemming. Would is still the same, B is still the same, unfair is still the same, to is still the same, demand is still the same, that is still the same, right? But if you see people, right, you see that the E has been chopped off. Okay, if you see a word like seize, you see that the E at the end has been chopped off, right? If you see a word like pirating, right, you see that the ing is chopped off. Okay, and then files, you see that the S has been chopped off, right, when it's still becoming the same thing, right? And then you see that people, again, the E is gone, right? The E is gone. If you see this one, participation, right, everything here has been chopped off to participate. You see that now this word doesn't really make sense because it's not even in the dictionary after we perform stemming, right? It's trying to reduce the words to 8 base, but you can see that some of the words are not making sense. Okay, if you see word like this is very, what word was that? That was very, right? Very, that has been stemmed to very, right? It doesn't really make sense. Lucrative, now see word lucrative, right? When you perform lucrative, okay, when you perform stemming on it, you see what came out, okay, which doesn't even make sense anymore, right? Now if you use let's see snowball is also going to give you the same result, right? The only thing that I'm changing here is this snowball, and I'm just initializing it here with the English vocabulary in there. All right, and it's just the code is just the same thing. Right, now if you see the output of that one is the same thing as what we were having. Okay, the same thing, just chopping them off right like that. Participation has been chopped off to this, vary has been chopped off to this, and so on and so forth. Right, lucrative has been chopped off to this. Okay, now if you see this one, even the lucrative, now we have lucrat, but if you see the porter stemma, lucrative was chopped to lucre. Okay, so even this one will be becoming near accurate. Okay, the snowball is becoming near accurate, right? But however, they are not still making sense, because if we see the word lucrat, right, it doesn't really sound the same thing as lucrative, as the original word is supposed to be lucrative. Okay, so if you chop off the IEV off and you say that lucrat doesn't make sense anymore, right? But let's see what lemmatization is going to do. Okay, so we reduce, as we said, we are reducing the word to its base, which is called which in lemmatization we refer to as a lemma. Okay, refer to as a lemma. So if you are saying that we are finding the lemma of the word, it means that we are finding the root word. Okay, we are trying to find the root word. So word like changes and change and charger, right? The root word is just change. Okay, so over here you can see that I'm importing, I'm doing the same thing over here, right, as we saw earlier on. And then I'm importing word net lemmatizer. Okay, word net lemmatizer. There are other lemmatization functions that I'll introduce you to later on, but right now it's quite a robust one which does the work. Okay, so once you import it, you just initialize it. Okay, you can give it any name that you want. So what I'm doing here is lemmatizer.lemmatize. Then I'm lemmatizing the word. Okay, for word in the sentence that we have. Okay, now let's let me print the. Let me put this once here to demonstrate for you to see the difference now. All right, now you can see the difference. Let's see the word like say people, right? People, we see that it did not chop off the people, because if we chop off the people to PEOPL, it doesn't make sense anymore, right? The C's, you see that it did not chop off the E. The pirate, it did not chop off the ING, but over here you see that if you see people, the E is gone. If you see the C's, E is gone. Pirate, the ING is gone, right? If you use stemming, but if you use lemmatization, you still have the word over there, right? If you see the word like participation, it did not chop it off, right? If you see the word like lucrative, it's still there. So for lemmatization, if it's realized that when after chopping off it, it's not going to make sense, it's not going to chop it off at all. Okay, it's not going to chop it off at all. It will only chop it off when it realizes that when I chop it off, it's going to still make sense. Okay, so if it's not going to make sense, then it's not going to chop it off, right? So that is lemmatization. So most of the time you will be using lemmatization, unless in certain circumstances where you really need to take out a significant part of the words. Okay, that is when you can use the stemming. Okay, and we're going to see some circumstances where we're going to use stemming and some circumstances where we use lemmatization. But ideally, what I'm introducing you to over here is how it is actually done. Okay, this is how it is actually done, right? We're going to see it in our upcoming tutorials and our upcoming lab sessions and projects. Okay, all right, so that is an introduction to stemming and lemmatization, right? As I said, we're going to see more of these in the upcoming tutorials. All right.